All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about Sean McVay, the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and him kind of just feeling rejuvenated, being the head coach of the Rams, and kind of just some of the changes the Rams have gone through in recent years. So let's get into that. So he feels like this upcoming season is kind of like his first year of coaching back in 2017 because there's a lot of young players, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, because now with the retirement of Aaron Donald, the Rams needed to fill that void, and they did draft some defensive linemen to kind of address that hole that they now have. I'm not going to say that the guys that they got are going to replace Aaron Donald right away, but they had to do something. So, I wanted to get into what McVay had to say specifically. Like I said, he feels like it's year one again. He said, what's cool being around this group, and especially even last year, it feels like it's year one again. And he said, I really mean that. He also said, I feel like these last couple years, there's really just been a real renewed purpose and perspective that reminds you what a blessing this is. You kind of had lost that a little bit in the midst of the journey, especially things going well, and then obviously the challenging year in 22. There's a lot of cool things that have gone on with the people that I'm around and the coaches, but having that little guy too is a real easy reason to keep appropriate perspective and to make sure you're being the man and the model and what it looks like for him every day. And then, yeah, so that was what he had to say. And, yeah, because if you go back to 2022, it was a rough year for the Rams. You had Matthew Stafford go down. You had Cooper Kupp go down. Aaron Donald also got hurt. It was a rough year for them. And even when everybody was healthy, the Rams, still something was off with them. It wasn't Super Bowl hangover, but it just, I don't know. They weren't as good as they were the previous season. Because you lost. Von Miller was not on the team. Andrew Whitworth retired because you could tell the offensive line just wasn't, doing well at times. Yeah, they really weren't running the football well. It was a lost season for the Rams, and that's kind of what led to all the speculation on, yeah, this could be it for Sean McVay. He might be going into broadcasting, which I was watching him a little bit on Chris Long's podcast last night. Yeah, he definitely could get into broadcasting, and he would have no issue with how he articulates his points and things like that. He's a well-spoken coach, and yeah, it was a challenging season for him, and I guess it got to him, and he had his doubts, like, you know what, maybe I should just hang it up and do something else, but that was not the case, and the Rams really did surprise people last year. You had Stafford come back healthy. Puka Nacua is a rising star. Kyron Williams, early on in the season, was playing well. Then he gets hurt. He comes back late in the year, and then that's when the Rams really started to, make a run and make the playoffs. Yeah, the Rams are back to being a team that you look at it and say, hey, this team is a playoff team right here. And I think that's going to be the case in 2024. Now, again, I want to see how the defense performs without Aaron Donald because, Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive players in the league, and he's one of the best defensive players of all time. And he's not there. Now, I know I did a segment earlier in the offseason where I talked about the general manager of the Rams kind of saying how that, he could kind of pull an Eric Weddle where, the Rams are gearing up for another playoff run, and they come to Aaron Donald and say, we need you. And maybe he comes back. It doesn't seem like he's going to come back, but that at least, they're at least going to reach out in case they may need him. But yeah, he's not on the team anymore, and it's going to be weird not seeing him, going after the quarterback. But in one of his interviews, I think it was on again on a podcast. He talked about how he did basically everything he wanted to do. So he's got that Super Bowl ring. He doesn't feel the need. Well, I mean, I think he would have liked to have won more championships, but I think now with him retiring, he's at peace. So probably not going to come back. Maybe the Rams do reach out to him if they're in a good position to make another run, but yeah, he's probably not going to come back. But anyways, yeah, with Sean McVay, I mean, I think him calling it a career after 22, I feel like that would have been a little premature because I feel like he's still young for a head coach. I feel like you still can be one of the top coaches in the league. I mean, look at all the other coaches that, not all the other coaches, but you see Pete Carroll, he's not around, he's not going to be on the sidelines. Bill Belichick, like those guys, yeah, you can understand from that perspective. But Sean McVay, he's got plenty of good years left to be a coach in the NFL. Like, why are you going to leave now? But when you look at the Rams, yeah, I mean, at some point, Matthew Stafford, I mean, he's actually, I think he's looking for a new deal as well. But at some point, Matthew Stafford's going to retire, so the Rams are going to have to address the quarterback position. Cooper Kupp's getting older. I mean, I still think he's got, a couple of good years left. But I think we're kind of transitioning now to a new number one wide receiver on that team. And Puka Nacua, I think, is taking over. But I know, I think McVay said it, that Cooper Kupp was dealing with injuries all of last year, and now he's fully healthy. So maybe we see, I mean, we did see a little bit of the Cooper Kupp that we saw when he won the Triple Crown, but I think also because in combination with Puka Nacua and him dealing with injuries, yeah, we didn't really see that Cooper Kupp. I mean, I don't think we're going to see him have a kind of season like that again, but maybe we see something similar to that. And I think towards the end of the year, last year, we did see that. But yeah, he did talk about this, I think, on Chris Long's podcast, Sean McVay, just how like the team itself, it's a nice blend of young guys and veterans. And I think that's what you want to have with an organization. You want to have that nice blend because you got the young guys that have the talent, but they need some guidance, and that's why you got the veterans there that could still produce, that can kind of guide them and bring them along. So, I do get that from that perspective. So, I mean, it's great to hear that he feels that, he has the passion again when it comes to coaching, and I hope he continues to be the coach of the Rams for a long time. Because he is one of the better coaches in the NFL. Now he's got that Super Bowl championship. And, we'll see what kind of season the Rams are going to have. Like I said, I don't really know what to expect from the defense. They also made moves in the secondary as well. Because the secondary, I think, was a little bit of an issue last year. They brought back Darius Williams and also another player, Curl from the, I think he was with the Commanders. So they did address the secondary, and they also, like I said, with Aaron Donald no longer there, they also they drafted I think Jared Verse, right, from Florida State, the edge rusher. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the defense is, and I think the offense is, of course, going to be good once again. I mean, it's hard to imagine they're not going to be, as good. I mean, Stafford played well last year. I mean, I think if Stafford's healthy, Stafford's going to go out there and have a good year. And you got the weapons. I think also bringing back, this is not really something that's huge, but I think also bringing back DeMarcus Robinson, I think that was a good move because he actually was playing well for them last year. So I think the receiving core is set, with, of course, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua at the top. You got Kyron Williams. They also did draft Blake Corum out of Michigan. So that could be a nice 1-2 duo. Take some pressure off of Kyron Williams. Because the Rams really didn't have, a backup running back when Kyron Williams went down. I mean, who else did they have? I think they still had Royce Freeman, who's now with Dallas. I think Ronnie Rivers they had last year, and I think I'm skipping out on somebody else. But yeah, they're looking for that backup running back, and Blake Corum, he could maybe take over as the lead back, but I don't know. I'm just saying that. But yeah, if Blake Corum and Kyron Williams, that could be a nice duo that they have in LA. So yeah, I mean the Rams, I think they're going to be a wild card team. I know it's very early, but I think they're going to be a wild card team. Because I look at the 49ers, I mean, they're still the class of the NFC West. I think they're going to win the division. But, the Rams are going to give them a run for their money, I feel like. And I still think, they're better than Seattle. And they're better than the Cardinals. So, I think just as long as, I think it's going to come down to health. I think Stafford still got some good years left as he's getting older. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to be a fun team to watch in 2024. So, we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, this was just something I wanted to touch upon. So let me know what you guys think about what Sean McVay had to say. What kind of season do you think the Rams are going to have? Like I said, I think the Rams, they are going to be a good team. 9-10 win team. I feel like they're going to finish around the same rate. Because, 10-7 they went last year. So I think we're going to see more of the same there. So, like I said, let me know what you guys think about the Rams. How do you see them doing in 2024? So, we are going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we'll talk about the announcement of the AFC North being featured on Hard Knocks. So I'll go over that and talk about that. And that is how we will end off the show for today. So, for one final time today, stick around. And we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.